Michael Codavella says, and I'm sorry you're receiving so much hate from these Zionist groups. I saw Jews in school are now going after your husband. These groups do not represent us Jews. I want to thank you and Cenk's advocacy in what is right.
So Michael, yeah, first of all, yes, thank you. But Michael, I want you and anyone else in our audience who might be wondering about this to know, I do not hold anything the state of Israel does against Jewish people, okay? I want to be so clear about that. I know this is like a cliche that like the left laughs at. I've done it myself, like, oh, some of my best friends are black, like that argument. But literally, my absolute best friend from childhood, who I see as a sister, okay, is Jewish. I go to Seder with her. I read, even though I'm not Jewish myself, like I think the Jewish prayers that we read at Seder are wonderful. Like I like the message in it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is not about Jewish people, and I would never ever have hatred in my heart for Jewish people over what the state of Israel is doing. So I want to just address that.
I'm going to just say one thing from my perspective, okay? So look, guys, I'm not going to let up on Israel 1%.
Neither am I.
Okay, what their government is doing is an obvious ethnic cleansing genocide. It's the actions of terrorists. It is despicable. I will say every word that they utterly deserve, because they are a government. And if I was held responsible for the actions, all the actions of the American government or the Turkish government, because I lived in Turkey when I was younger, my God, I couldn't handle that moral burden. And no Jew should have to carry the moral burden of a government's actions, as no Turk should be able to be made to carry the burdens of the Turkish government or any empire that came before it.
Yeah.
Or by the way, Southerners in America being responsible for slavery. You didn't do slavery, right? But it doesn't mean that slavery wasn't terrible. It was, right?
Yep.
And
in fact, Cenk, you just touched on something that I've been kind of wanting to open up and talk about on the show, because, okay, just stay with me as I kind of go through this anecdote from my life. When I was in 5th grade, I knew about the genocide, Armenian genocide, from a super young age, because you grow up hearing details about it from your family members, right? And I remember when I was in 5th grade, there was a new student in our school who was Turkish. She was actually Turkish Armenian. And I was vicious to her. I was bullying her in school. I'm very ashamed of that. But at that time, I'm a little 5th grader, right? I think I'm doing the right thing because, Turkish people did terrible things to Armenians and I'm gonna be mean to her. Well, obviously I got in trouble, and I wanna give my parents so much credit because they beat my ass and I deserved it, okay? But more importantly, they told me something that I needed to learn at a young age. They told me, you are not to have hate in your heart for Turkish people, because while the Ottomans were doing what they were doing, while there was this systematic persecution of the Armenians, the genocide of Armenians, there were also Turkish citizens who hid Armenians, protected Armenians. So it would be stupid to just generalize about Turks, even at that time. But it's even more stupid to do so nearly like a century later. And so I think that became very ingrained in who I am. And I have that same thought process when it comes to Israel and Jewish people. You get what I'm saying?
Of course, 100%. And as a Turk, I'm relieved. No, but in all seriousness, guys, look, I want to build on one last thing that Anna said, which is that it would be dumb to make that kind of assumption, right? Yeah. So look, so I grew up in a town in New Jersey that is I think was nearly half Jewish, and so we've told the story many times that when it was Jewish enough that the entire rest of the area, the county knew that, and they threw bagels at us when we played football. The opposing sidelines did. It was really gross. So I love growing up in that community, and I love learning about Jewish culture and how you stick up for the underdog, you question the rabbi, you do all these things. And I have a ton of friends, obviously, from that era, including one of the guys that set up the Young Turks with me, right? And so it's. Nobody, Mossad or the IDF does not call Lauren or Dave or anyone else that we know and go, hey, we're thinking of doing this. Are you guys good with it, right? No, of course not, of course not. That is a government taking action for its own purposes. So that's why we've repeated this so many times over these last 2 years, because I don't want anybody making the mistake of thinking, both mistakes. Oh, because it's a particular religion, you're not allowed to criticize Israel. Oh, hell no, they're in the middle of a genocide. I'm definitely gonna criticize them, okay? And, oh, because Israel claims they're a Jewish state, that means all Jews are responsible. No,
they are not.
They didn't vote for that, they weren't involved in that, they didn't make those decisions. It's absurd. And look, guys, we're all the same species. Why did the Turks do it? The Germans did it, the Cambodians did it, now Israel's doing it, Rwanda did it, etc. Because we're all humans. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And one of the reasons why we're so livid against the Israeli government and the US government for backing them is because we are accidentally giving them absolute power, which is leading to absolute corruption. That is not something that is in Jewish hearts, that is something that is in human hearts. That's why we have to be wary of it. We have to all work together to stop it. And wonderful Jews in America and now Israel as well are helping to do that. So don't ever make that mistake of conflating those two things. And unfortunately, there's a huge problem. A lot of Israeli supporters want you to make that mistake.
Yeah.
They want you to conflate the actions of Israel with all Jews. And I think that is deeply counterproductive and even borderline anti-Semitic.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you on that. Final thing that I'll address from the comment. My husband is not a political person, and to target him and to try to get him fired from a job he loves, from a job he's fulfilled from, over taking offense of my political commentary is such a disgusting thing to do. Okay, but this is how these pro-genocide Zionist groups work. This is how they silence people.
Yeah,
they know that I'm immovable, that I'm not easy to intimidate. Let's just put it that way. And I love my family, and I would do anything for my family. So targeting my husband is very much intentional to silence me, and it's disgusting. I'll just leave it there.
All right, now you're forcing me to say one last thing, which is, guys, so again, Dave, Lauren, take whatever example you want, right, of people. They're not part of this. They're not calling them, oh yeah, get people fired, etc. And nobody ever asked them that. But for the people who are involved in this, so for the people who are saying, if you criticize Israel as Anna has done or I have done, we should ruin your life. Don't tell me that Israel, not Jews, that Israel doesn't have any control, power, or influence in this country, and then say, if you criticize Israel, we're gonna get you fired, we're gonna go after your family, we're gonna get your family fired, we're gonna try to ruin your life because you dared to criticize Israel, but you're not allowed to say that, because if you say that, then we're gonna double ruin your life. No, F off. So for all the love I got for Jews across the world, I got no love for people supporting a genocide, those specific people who are part of pro-genocide, sickening Israeli government today actions. Oh yeah, all the Ben Gvir, Smotrich, those monsters. If you think that's the face of Judaism, you're the most anti-Semitic person there is, okay? And if you're saying, yeah, they stand for all Jews, you've harmed Jews more than any critic of Israel could ever do, because those guys are monsters, and they say it all the time. They've said they want to annihilate everyone in Gaza. They are pro-genocidal and proud. If you're backing those people and trying to get decent, honest people fired, you're a sick individual. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.